I smelled the burning plastic before I saw the flames. At first, I thought it was someone's trash fire, drifting down the street, until the heat hit my face like a slap. My Tesla wasn't just burning, it was screaming. Metal warping, glass popping, alarms dying in choking bursts of smoke. And right there, illuminated by the inferno she created, stood Karen Whitmore, chair of our HOA, self-appointed dictator of Willow Ridge Estates, and the last person I ever expected to commit arson in broad daylight. But she wasn't hiding. She wasn't running. She was smirking. And in her hand, shining like some twisted victory flag, was her phone, displaying the Elon Musk tweet I'd liked earlier that morning. A single thumbs-up emoji that somehow triggered the most unhinged act I had ever witnessed. "You think you're clever mocking the community online?" she hissed. "Well, enjoy watching your precious electric toy melt." Before I could speak, she dropped the phone into her purse and folded her arms like she'd just won a neighborhood bake-off instead of committing a felony. The neighbors gathered, whispering, filming, some too stunned to even approach. A couple kids cried. The flames climbed higher. My knees locked. My chest tightened. Not from fear, from clarity. This wasn't a random act. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment meltdown. Karen had planned this. Because last week, I'd spoken at an HOA meeting about her unauthorized spending, missing community funds, and her creepy push to monitor residents' social media. She'd hated every second of it. And today, she sent her answer in fire. The firefighters arrived, but the car was already a charred skeleton. One of them pulled me aside, voice low, eyes apologetic. "Sir, someone called in the fire before we were even dispatched. They said it would be a Tesla incident." Like they knew. Of course she knew. Karen hovered behind us, pretending to care, pretending to gasp, pretending to be a leader. And then she said the line that sealed her fate, and mine. "This is what happens when people bring dangerous technology into our peaceful community. Maybe now he'll think twice before supporting extremists on social media." I turned slowly. Our eyes locked. She expected me to break, to panic, to retreat. But all I felt was resolve. Because in that moment, I understood something Karen never did. She hadn't destroyed my car. She had built my case. And by the time I was finished with her in court, she would lose far more than I ever did. The morning after the fire felt like waking up inside a courtroom already mid-trial. My phone buzzed non-stop. Insurance, police, neighbors sending shaky videos from the night before. Each clip capturing Karen pacing near the flames with a manic satisfaction she didn't even bother hiding. Every angle, every timestamp, every witness, the evidence wasn't just building. It was overwhelming. Detective Rains arrived at my house just after 9 a.m. Tall, quiet, expression carved from stone. He didn't waste time with small talk. He motioned for me to sit at the dining table, placed a sleek recorder between us, and began asking questions with surgical precision. "When did you last see your vehicle intact? Did you have any conflicts with neighbors? Has anyone threatened you online or in person?" I answered everything calmly. I had nothing to hide. Karen, on the other hand, had an entire suburban empire to protect. One built on intimidation, lies, and HOA rulebook weaponization. Then Rains clicked his pen. "Tell me about this tweet." He turned his tablet toward me, a screenshot of the Elon Musk post I'd liked. Something about overreaching HOAs becoming mini-dictatorships. Funny, harmless, sarcastic, except to Karen. I explained the context. He listened, expression unreadable. "We pulled 911 call logs," he said. "Interesting pattern. The fire was reported before the first neighbor saw actual flames. Caller claimed a Tesla battery had exploded. No mention of arson." I leaned back. "Karen." His eyes sharpened. "I didn't say a name. You didn't need to." He studied me for a long moment before sliding his tablet across the table. On it, clear as daylight, was the video my neighbor Maxwell had recorded. Karen standing several feet from the burning car, phone raised, muttering something that looked nothing like shock or fear. "Is this typical behavior for her?" Rains asked. Typical? Karen had fought a neighbor for installing a bird feeder. She fined a single mother for having a non-regulation shade of blue on her front door. She wrote a 10-page letter about kids using chalk on the sidewalk. Arson wasn't a leap for her. It was an escalation. But the real turning point came when Rains lowered his voice. "We found accelerant. Traces on the pavement near the vehicle. Intentional. Whoever did this wasn't sloppy. They wanted the fire to look electrical. But they misjudged how fast it would spread." The room felt colder. Rains continued. "If this leads where it looks like it's going, we're not talking about property damage. We're talking multiple felonies." Good. Because I wasn't just seeking reimbursement. I wanted Karen's entire empire, her control, her power, her smug smile, to crumble publicly, legally and permanently. This time she set the fire, but soon I'd light one of my own. Karen always walked around Willow Ridge like she owned the air we breathed. But 3 days after the fire, something shifted. Her morning patrols, clipboard in hand, ready to pounce on anyone with a slightly crooked mailbox, grew shorter. Her smile tightened. Her eyes darted faster. She could feel it. The neighborhood no longer whispered about my burned Tesla. They whispered about her. And the cracks in her kingdom widened when Detective Rains requested a formal statement from the HOA board. They met in the clubhouse, a place Karen treated like a personal throne room. Usually, she sat at the head of the long oak table, chin high, voice sharp, ruling with absolute certainty. But when I entered the room, escorted by Rains, I saw something I had never witnessed before. Karen wasn't sitting at the head. She wasn't sitting anywhere. She stood off to the side, rigid, pale, clutching a stack of papers so tightly her knuckles whitened. Rains got right to the point. "Mrs. Whitmore, several residents have reported you were near the scene before and during the fire. I need to clarify your timeline." Karen forced a laugh that died mid-breath. "I was doing my regular safety walk. I heard the explosion and, of course, I rushed to help." Rains tapped his pen on his notebook. "Witnesses say you were already there before the flames grew. Do you dispute that?" No, I mean..." She stumbled. Karen never stumbled. The board members avoided her gaze. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others looked almost relieved. "Tyrants don't have friends. Only people waiting for the fall," Rains continued. "We also found accelerant residue. Do you keep any flammable substances in your vehicle or on your person?" Karen bristled. "Detective, I don't appreciate the insinuation." He didn't flinch. "It's not an insinuation. It's a question." Then her mask cracked. "Why are we even entertaining this nonsense?" She jabbed a trembling finger at me. "Has been a problem since he moved in. Always challenging the rules, stirring trouble, encouraging rebellion." "This is harassment!" Rains lifted a hand. "Mrs. Whitmore, please calm down." But she couldn't. She spiraled. This community was peaceful before him. Perfect. And now I'm sitting here being interrogated because he liked some stupid billionaire's tweet? Silence fell like a blade. She'd said too much, and she knew it. The meeting ended abruptly. Karen stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. But the damage was done. The board members looked at me with a mix of sympathy and something else. Something unexpected. They wanted her gone. And for the first time, I realized I wouldn't be fighting Karen alone. Karen's downfall didn't come from a dramatic confession, a slip of the tongue, or even her meltdown at the HOA meeting. No, her destruction came from something far simpler, something she never expected, something she thought she controlled. Her own surveillance network. Karen had installed a web of hidden cameras around Willow Ridge under the guise of community safety. Everyone knew she monitored the neighborhood, but no one realized just how obsessively she recorded everything. Every lawn mowing, every late-night walk, every passing delivery truck. And ironically, it was her compulsive spying that delivered the knife to her throat. Detective Rains called me to the station 2 days after the HOA meeting. He didn't explain why over the phone. But I heard something new in his voice, an undercurrent of certainty. When I arrived, he led me into a small viewing room and hit play on a monitor. The footage was crystal clear. Karen's SUV pulled up beside my driveway at 4:12 p.m., 40 minutes before the fire started. She stepped out, glancing around like a thief checking for guards. Then she popped her trunk and removed a small red gas can. I felt my jaw tighten. Rains fast-forwarded. Karen walked directly to my Tesla, unscrewed the charging port door, and poured the liquid inside. Then she circled the car, splashing the rest along the ground. Every movement was deliberate, practiced, premeditated. When the can was empty, she lit a long barbecue lighter, flicked it twice, then touched it to the trail. The flame shot up instantly. Karen didn't run. She didn't panic. She stepped back, folded her arms, and watched the fire grow. Exactly like she had when I first saw her. I felt a coldness settle in my chest. Rains paused the video. "We obtained this from a resident who didn't realize. Karen had tapped into their backyard camera feed. It's admissible. It's direct. This is attempted insurance fraud, property destruction, arson with intent. She's looking at serious prison time." For a long moment, I said nothing. Then, "What happens now?" Rains stood. "We're preparing a warrant. We'll be taking her into custody within hours. But we want you there, given the circumstances." I didn't hesitate. When we arrived at her house, Karen was pacing on her porch, phone pressed to her ear, barking into it like a cornered animal. When she saw the police cars, her voice cracked. "What is this?" "I'm the HOA president." "You can't just..." Rains read her the charges. Karen's face collapsed. Fear, rage, disbelief all blending into something hollow. As they cuffed her, she looked at me with wild, shaking eyes. "You did this," she whispered. "No, she did this." And soon, the entire courtroom would see exactly how. Courtrooms have a particular kind of silence, heavy, suffocating, waiting. On the morning of Karen's hearing, that silence felt thicker than concrete. The gallery was packed with residents from Willow Ridge. Some curious, some furious, others simply hungry to witness the collapse of the woman who ruled their lives like a suburban tyrant. Karen entered the courtroom escorted by deputies, wrists cuffed, face hollow. The woman who once strutted through the neighborhood like a self-crowned queen now looked brittle, smaller, stripped of everything except the weight of her mistakes. When her eyes found mine, they were filled not with hatred, but with disbelief that her power could end it all. The prosecution didn't waste time. They began with the surveillance footage. The moment the screen lit up with Karen approaching my Tesla, gas can in hand, the gallery gasped. Even the judge leaned forward. The video played without commentary. It didn't need any. The flames, the deliberate steps, the cold calm. Every second was a nail sealing her fate. Karen's attorney attempted a defense. Stress, community pressure, a temporary break in judgment even. Unbelievably, a claim that she believed she was neutralizing. A dangerous vehicle, but the evidence was a tidal wave. And those excuses were paper boats. They sank instantly. Then it was my turn to speak. I walked to the stand and looked at Karen. Not with fury. Fury had burned away. Long ago. What remained was clarity. "I'm not here because a car was destroyed," I began. "I'm here because someone who held authority decided that disagreement justified violence." She didn't just burn property. She burned trust, safety, and community. And she did it with pride. Karen's jaw trembled. Her attorney whispered for her to look away, but she didn't. When I finished, the judge removed his glasses, rubbed his eyes, and delivered the words that ended her reign. "Mrs. Whitmore, the evidence shows clear premeditation. You are hereby sentenced to 7 years in state prison, followed by mandatory psychological evaluation and restitution payments to the victim." Karen collapsed into her chair, hands shaking violently. The deputies lifted her as she cried, quiet, broken sobs echoing in a place where her voice once commanded fear. But the final blow came later, when the HOA board voted unanimously to dissolve her presidency, audit every dollar she ever touched, and ban her permanently from serving on any community board again. Her empire didn't just fall, it disintegrated. As I walked out of the courthouse, neighbors approached, not with judgment, but gratitude. The neighborhood felt lighter, freer, almost reborn. Justice hadn't just been served, it had been delivered publicly. And the woman who once controlled my life with rulebooks and threats learned the final, irreversible truth. Some fires don't destroy, some fires purify.